"Are you lost too, mister?" asked the little girl to the lonely CEO at the airport, what he did next. The storm outside the airport windows lashed against the glass like cold, desperate fingers, smearing the night sky into a blur of gray and trembling white. Inside the humming terminal, amidst the rolling suitcases, impatient footsteps, and the hollow announcements echoing through the high ceilings, a man sat alone in a polished black suit, staring blankly at the departure board as though life had drained all the colors from him. His name was Nathan Hale, one of the youngest CEOs in New York, a man known for unbreakable discipline, iron focus, and a heart rumored to be made of stone. But on this night, with Christmas only hours away, Nathan looked nothing like the powerful man the world believed him to be. He looked like someone quietly falling apart, someone who didn't know where he was going anymore. And as the minutes dragged on, he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, wondering how everything in his life had spiraled into emptiness so quickly. That was when he felt a small tug on his sleeve, so gentle that it almost felt imagined, and when he lifted his eyes, he saw a tiny girl in a red coat and a knitted hat shaped like a kitten, staring up at him with big blue eyes full of innocence. She held his sleeve as though he were something safe in a world too big for her. And then, in the softest voice he had heard in years, she asked, "Are you lost too, mister? If you believe in kindness, miracles, and second chances, then take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing emotional stories like this to life." Nathan had faced high-stakes board meetings, billion-dollar negotiations, and the pressure of being the face of a global empire, but nothing disarmed him like that single question from a child. Lost? He wasn't even sure what the word meant anymore, not after losing his mother last Christmas, distancing himself from his faith, breaking off his engagement, and burying himself so deeply in work that he had forgotten what peace felt like. And yet this little girl, standing there with her tiny backpack shaped like a cat and snow-pink cheeks, looked at him as though she could see straight through the expensive suit and the polished mask he wore, right into the quiet ache he hid from the world. He blinked, trying to steady himself, and glanced around for her parents. The terminal was busy, but no one seemed to notice her. She looked no older than 4, far too young to be wandering alone, and the idea made something tighten in Nathan's chest. The girl didn't let go of his sleeve. Instead, she smiled, a soft, innocent smile that cut through the heavy fog in his mind. She looked like hope in a tiny winter coat. Nathan straightened up and gently asked where her mother was, but the girl simply looked toward the large windows, her little brows knitting as though she were trying very hard to remember something important. Her name, she finally managed to say, was Lily Cooper, and she was trying to find her mommy, who had gone to get the paper thingy for the airplane. But when Lily had turned to look at the Christmas tree behind the seating area, because she liked the sparkly lights, she lost sight of her mother. And now she had been walking in circles, looking for someone whose face she suddenly couldn't recall clearly in the sea of strangers. Nathan felt his heart twist. The idea of this small child wandering alone in an airport at night, scared and unsure, struck something deep inside him that he had long kept locked away. He knew what loneliness felt like. He knew what it meant to search for something that felt lost forever. He stood slowly, offering Lily his hand. She slipped her tiny fingers into his without hesitation, as though she had already made up her mind that he was safe. As he walked with her through the terminal, he realized that in all his years of running a company, managing thousands of employees, handling crises, building wealth and reputation, he had never felt the quiet responsibility he felt now, guiding this little girl through the chaotic airport. Lily trusted him without reason, and that trust humbled him. They searched for her mother near the coffee shops, the baggage claim area, and the decorated Christmas tree in the center of the concourse. Nathan carried Lily when she got tired, noticing how her little head rested softly on his shoulder, how she hummed a tiny tune under her breath to comfort herself. For the first time in years, Nathan felt something gentle inside him, a warmth he had forgotten existed. As they waited near the customer service desk, hoping the announcement about a missing child would bring her mother rushing in, Nathan learned more about her through the small, scattered pieces she shared. Lily loved kittens but was allergic to real ones, so she carried a toy cat in her backpack instead. She wanted to bake cookies for Santa, but her mom said they would have to bake them after the flight because they were traveling to see Lily's grandparents for Christmas. Her father, she mentioned with a tone too wise for her age, lived in heaven. And that was why her mom cried sometimes, especially at night when she thought Lily was asleep. Nathan swallowed, realizing how much pain existed even inside the smallest lives. Hours passed, and worry grew heavier. Nathan could feel Lily's small fingers clutching his shirt, her breathing uneven now as fear began creeping into her little heart. And then, without warning, the airport lights flickered as the storm outside intensified, and a voice echoed through the speakers announcing multiple flight delays, including Nathan's own. He was supposed to fly to Chicago for a corporate emergency meeting, one he had been dreading more than anything, but now none of it seemed to matter. For the first time since his mother's death, he felt like he had a purpose again. Not as a CEO. Not as a figure the world depended on. But simply as a human being helping a frightened child. As the minutes stretched into more than an hour, Nathan carried Lily to a quieter seating area. She leaned against him, her tiny hands gripping the lapel of his suit jacket as though he were the only anchor she had left. Nathan wrapped his coat around her, noticing how cold she was from wandering the terminal alone before she found him. Something inside him whispered that maybe God had sent her to him tonight, not the other way around. When Lily finally drifted into a light sleep, Nathan felt a sensation he hadn't felt in years, tenderness, protective and overwhelming. He held her close, staring at her innocent face, and wondered how someone so small could bring such profound stillness into his chaotic life. His heart, which had been silent for so long, seemed to beat with clarity again. Then, just when he thought the night might stretch endlessly, a woman's frantic voice broke through the noise. Nathan turned, and his breath caught. A young mother with tears streaming down her face was rushing through the rows of seats, shouting Lily's name like her soul depended on it. The desperation in her voice was raw and bleeding. Nathan stood immediately as Lily stirred awake. When Lily's mother spotted them, her entire body crumbled with relief. She ran to her daughter, dropping to her knees despite the polished floor, pulling Lily into her arms as though she would never let her go again. Nathan stepped back, giving them space, watching the emotional reunion with a strange ache in his chest. When the mother finally looked up at him, her eyes overflowing, she whispered words of gratitude he couldn't fully process. She explained that she had gone to the ticket counter during a moment of confusion, and when she turned back, Lily was gone. She had been searching non-stop, heart collapsing with every passing minute. Nathan could only nod, his throat tight, listening to the woman thank him again and again. He wanted to say it was nothing, that anyone would have done the same. But he knew that wasn't true. Not everyone would have stopped. Not everyone would have stayed. And deep down, he realized that Lily had saved him too. She had given him a reason to feel again. The storm persisted outside, and with flights indefinitely delayed, Nathan helped the mother, whose name was Rebecca, find a nearby seating area where they could rest. As Lily played quietly with her toy cat, Rebecca shared parts of her life with Nathan, telling him how she had been raising Lily alone since her husband's unexpected passing 2 years earlier. She worked 2 jobs, saved every dollar she could, and wanted to give her daughter a Christmas surrounded by family, even if it meant flying through a storm. Nathan listened, his gaze softening with every word. Rebecca's strength moved him more than he expected. She wasn't wealthy or influential, yet she carried a courage that he felt he had lost somewhere along the way. The three sat together as the hours crawled by, and for the first time in a long while, Nathan didn't feel the emptiness that had followed him like a shadow. He felt connected. When Lily crawled into Nathan's lap and fell asleep again, Rebecca smiled, tired, grateful, and somehow hopeful. Nathan looked down at the little girl resting against him, her tiny hand curled around his tie, and something inside him shifted forever. He realized that no boardroom, no achievement, no title had ever made him feel what this moment made him feel. human. When Nathan left the airport that morning, he thought the moment with Lily and Rebecca would stay in his heart as a beautiful memory, something warm to carry with him through the cold corridors of his empty penthouse. But as the taxi pulled away and the city of New York rolled past the window, something didn't feel right. There was a quiet tug in his chest, a whisper he hadn't heard in years. He felt as though he had walked away from something he was meant to hold on to. He tried diving back into work the next week, attending meetings, answering emails, burying himself in deadlines, but the truth was impossible to ignore. He wasn't the same man who had rushed through airports with his mind chained to business decisions. Something inside him had softened. Every time he saw a child on the street or heard a little laugh in a cafe, he remembered Lily's tiny hand wrapped around his tie, and her innocence asking if he was lost too. Every time he sat alone in his penthouse, the silence felt heavier than before, because now he had something to compare it to. He had tasted warmth again. He had felt human again. Days passed, then weeks. And then one evening, as snow blanketed the city like a soft white quilt, Nathan received an email from an unfamiliar address. He almost ignored it, until he saw the subject line. From Lily and Mommy. Nathan froze. With a strangely trembling breath, he opened it. The email was simple, heartfelt, and typed with small typos that made him smile. Rebecca wrote that Lily had been telling everyone about the nice man in the suit who helped her on the scariest night of her life. She wrote that Lily had insisted on thanking him properly, so she was attaching a picture Lily drew of Nathan holding her at the airport. The drawing was crooked, messy, utterly imperfect, and the most precious thing Nathan had ever received. Rebecca thanked him again and ended by saying, "If you ever want to visit, Lily would be thrilled. Anne. I would too." Nathan stared at the email far longer than he intended. The invitation was gentle, not pushing, not expecting anything, but something inside him stirred with longing. He replied before he could overthink it, asking when would be a good time to visit them in Ohio. Rebecca responded within minutes. And for the first time in years, Nathan felt excitement flutter inside him like a nervous heartbeat. A week later, Nathan stepped off a small connecting flight, his breath fogging in the cold as he walked through the modest Ohio airport. He felt something unfamiliar, hope. He had no suitcase full of business documents this time. Just a small gift bag with a stuffed kitten toy he had bought for Lily. Rebecca and Lily were waiting near the exit. When Lily spotted him, she broke into a delighted squeal so genuine and so full of joy that Nathan felt something inside him come alive. She ran toward him with her tiny boots thumping on the floor, shouting, "Nathan! Nathan!" before crashing into his legs. Nathan scooped her up instantly, hugging her tight, feeling warmth bloom in his chest in a place he thought had died long ago. Rebecca approached, smiling shyly, her cheeks red from the cold. She looked softer than she had at the airport, lighter, freer, as though life had not defeated her but shaped her into something strong and beautiful. Their eyes met. And neither of them looked away. The days that followed were nothing short of healing. Nathan visited their small but cozy home, where the air smelled of cinnamon and fresh cookies. He helped Lily build a snowman in the front yard, laughing when she stuffed snow into his suit jacket and declared it better than your fancy clothes. Rebecca cooked him dinner, simple meals filled with warmth he had never tasted in any high-end restaurant. Nathan found himself talking to her about things he had never shared with anyone, his mother's passing, the emptiness of success, the loneliness he had tried to bury beneath work. Rebecca listened with eyes full of understanding. She shared her own losses, her late husband, the struggles of raising Lily alone, the nights she cried quietly so her daughter wouldn't hear. Somewhere between the shared stories, the small joys, the snowy afternoons, and the evenings spent talking while Lily slept curled up on the couch, Nathan realized he had found a missing piece of himself. And Rebecca realized she wasn't alone anymore. One night, as snowflakes drifted gently outside the window, Rebecca brought Nathan a warm cup of cocoa and sat beside him. Lily slept peacefully in his arms, her tiny hands wrapped around his shirt. Nathan whispered, almost afraid to break the fragile magic of the moment, "I didn't expect my life to change when I met her." Rebecca looked at Lily's little face, then at Nathan, and said softly, "Maybe God knew you needed each other." Her words entered his heart like a prayer finally answered. Nathan felt his defenses crumble, and for the first time in a long time, he allowed himself to feel everything: grief, hope, healing, love. He gently kissed the top of Lily's head. And when his eyes met Rebecca's again, something passed between them, quiet, pure, undeniable. Weeks turned into months. Trips became more frequent. Phone calls became nightly habits. And slowly, carefully, beautifully, 3 lives began to intertwine. Nathan wasn't lost anymore. Rebecca wasn't alone anymore. And Lily had found the father figure her tiny heart had always wished for. And on the following Christmas Eve, exactly 1 year after the night Lily tugged on Nathan's sleeve in the airport, Nathan knelt down on one knee in front of the Christmas tree, not with a business plan, not with a contract, but with a small velvet box. Lily gasped. Rebecca froze. Nathan looked up at them with eyes full of warmth and whispered the words that would change all 3 lives forever. "I want to build a family with you, both of you." And with tears streaming down her cheeks, Rebecca whispered yes. Lily clapped and shouted, "See, Mommy. I told you he wasn't lost anymore." And she was right. Love had found them. Faith had guided them. And kindness, born from one small question in an airport, had rewritten all their destinies.